welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, June 18, 2025. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves has officially assumed the chair of the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS Authority, during the 77th meeting of the authority, currently being hosted by St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the Sandals Resort. Dr. Gonsalves takes over the chairmanship from the outgoing chair, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Philip Shepard. During the opening ceremony last evening, Prime Minister Gonsalves addressed a range of pressing regional issues, but emphasized his term as chair will focus heavily on advancing regional integration.
After this stint, St. Vincent and the Grenadines will not hold the chairmanship of the OECS again until 2032. And surely I wouldn't be around in this capacity. Do I expect to be here in flesh, Roosevelt? I pledge that over the next 12 months, I shall serve you faithfully and well and untiringly to the best of my ability. Our spiritual Baptists sing joyously, never get weary yet, strong in will to strive to seek, to find and not to yield. Deepening and broadening our regional integration movement to the fullest extent that the political market can bear is a great cause. And great causes have never been won by doubtful men and women. The central object of all this is to make a whole, not a perfect, a whole daughter and a whole son out of the compromises that the fever of history has made us.
The Prime Minister raised concerns about the Caribbean single markets and economy, the CSME, stating that the OECS countries are being unfairly treated under the current system. He noted that if these disparities are not addressed, OECS member states may have to seriously consider whether to opt out of the CSME until more equitable arrangements are established.
Important CSME provisions relating to free movement of persons and capital and the like offered possibilities for the OECS. And thirdly, there was the vital consideration of the enduring value of belonging to CARICOM as an integrated community of nations and its functional cooperation work in health, education, disaster preparedness and security, and the coordination of our region's foreign policy. But the Bahamas, as a member state of CARICOM, is a beneficiary of all the non-CSME values of CARICOM, while opting out of the CSME provisions. The OECS countries may well, most reluctantly, by force of circumstances, have to put on the table the continued relevance of our participation in the CSME, while of course remaining in CARICOM, until the inequities referred to herein are satisfied. In that or any event, we are called upon to fortify evermore the OECS.
Dr. Gonsalves also expressed frustration with the difficulty OECS countries face in accessing resources from the Caribbean Development Fund, despite it being signatories. He pointed out that larger Caribbean countries are in a better position to benefit from CARICOM frameworks, often to the detriment of smaller states. A notable issue raised was Trinidad and Tobago's control of regional airspace, which he argued must be reviewed to ensure fair and balanced aviation governance across the region.
Trinidad and Tobago's continued control of our OECS airspace for its near-exclusive material benefit through its control of the relevant oversight authority remains a contentious issue which demands urgent resolution. This bristles. Neither Barbados nor the OECS has representation on that oversight body. We get no accounting and there is no transparency. This oversight body, when it was established as a colonial construct, it has been since independence in Trinidad and Tobago has been accorded a measure of seeming permanence. It is instructive to note that the Patrick Manning administrations in Trinidad and Tobago realized in practice that the OECS countries were unequally yoked in CARICOM, and his successor and his successive governments in the 21st century made compensatory arrangements by the establishment of a special fund to assist our countries.
The 77th meeting of the OECS Authority brought together heads of government and representatives from several member states. The meeting concluded today. Several leaders from member states of the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS, have questioned the effectiveness of the OECS Assembly, with some suggesting it's becoming a little more than a talk shop. Leader of SVG's opposition New Democratic Party, Dr. Godwin Friday, who is also a long-standing member of the Assembly, was especially vocal about the Assembly's limited impact. At its meeting yesterday at the temporary parliament in the Glen, Dr. Friday noted that while the body is enriched in the revised Treaty of Bastia, its current functioning does not reflect its intended purpose. Dr. Friday, who has attended the OECS Assembly since its inception in 2012, expressed concern that the regional integration body appears to be regressing rather than progressing, and said this trend must be reversed.
Let us define what this assembly accomplishes. I said some years ago, I attend all of these meetings, I come to them with the expectations, I know it's a talk shop, but I say it will lead to something better. It seems to be going backwards, because today we have the strictures of time constraints where we don't get to even discuss any of the substantive legislation that is here. Even in principle, where you say, okay, these are the things that are going to affect us. Take, for example, you have the Jazz Festival that people go to all the time in St. Lucia. You have a fast ferries going. Can I take my car when I go there and drive around rather than have to ride a vehicle? Can I leave it there and come back? Because now you don't have to worry about the tariffs and all of that stuff, so whether you imported it in St. Lucia or you imported it in St. Vincent. You know, these are things that we need to, at least to thrash out here, would know what the common denominators are, where we are, where we can agree. If we have differences here, they're not going to go away at the level of the National Assembly. And certainly when we come to explain it to our people, it's better if we do it as a unified.
Dr. Friday added that, like other OECS leaders, he has observed the Assembly becoming increasingly ceremonial with fewer substantive discussions, especially those that include opposition voices from across the region.
What I would like to see, Madam Speaker, is that the work we talk about here, yes, in CARICOM, there was a consultative or an assembly that faded away. Here we have it in the treaty itself. It calls for this assembly to meet. If the assembly is a nuisance, then get rid of it. You know, it's either that it's something that is meaningful and it has an important objective to lead us toward the political union that we strive for and to enhance or speed up the process of the common economic space that we have created, or it just becomes a talk shop. And then the big boys, who are the prime ministers and the leaders of the finance ministers, get together and they decide it, and then they come back to the next assembly again with another suite of stuff that the rest of us just sit down and don't know what they're talking about.
René Batiste of Vincentian was re-elected as Speaker of the Assembly at Tuesday's sitting. Opposition leader and the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, the PAC, Dr. Godwin Friday, has announced that the committee will convene a meeting next week, Thursday, June 26th. Dr. Friday said he is looking forward to the session, which will focus on examining the government's financial accounts for the years 2021 and 2022.
We have invited three. As the chairman of the committee, to lead the opposition, my convention is the chairman of the committee. I've invited three witnesses to be present at that meeting. That is to say, the director of audit, the accountant general, and the budget director to be present there. And the meeting convenes at 10 o'clock in the chamber of the Parliament building, the temporary Parliament building. It's open to the public, and I know that there's great public interest in it. That's the way I wish to see it conducted, and we look forward.
Dr. Friday emphasized that the meeting is not an investigation of any individual, but rather a review of the Director of Audit's reports on the public accounts. He underscored that this process is crucial to maintaining transparency and upholding good governance.
I want people to understand this, that the work of the Public Accounts Committee is not an investigative body. It is not there looking to, point fingers here and there. It is there to look at the public accounts which were produced. And this is the first time, people have been critical about that is basically the hypocrisy that is coming from the government side. Or you haven't brought the Public Accounts Committee to meet in so much time. The principal document that the Public Accounts Committee considers is the report of the Director of Audit under the public accounts of the country. These reports have been 7-8 years behind. This is the first time in the history of this government that we have had reports of the Public Accounts Committee that are dealing with the life of the present government. So we have a report for 2021, we have one for 2022. And so those are the reports that we're going to consider in the meeting of the Public Accounts Committee. And they're relevant, and they may address matters that are current, that people can.
Over the years, Dr. Friday has faced criticism for not convening meetings of the PAC. Addressing those concerns, he stated that he does not foresee any issues with the upcoming meeting, even though the opposition remains in the minority on the committee.
Currently, we have audit reports that are in the life of this present government. So we have the two things converging. That is to say that the Speaker has told me in writing and in the Parliament that the committee will function as other committees and other select committees within the Parliament will function. I have written to her indicating my intention to call the meeting of the Select Committee for Thursday next week. I provided an agenda which they have notified the members of the committee, and so that has been circulated. So far, so good. So you asked me if I expect. No, I don't expect to see that there will be obstacles, and I'm proceeding on that basis. But I'm not naive either to know that this is a government that has essentially been providing obstruction every single step of the way in terms of how we function in the Parliament.
Member of Parliament for East Kingstown, Dwight Fitzgerald Bramble, is pledging to deliver improved housing and infrastructure for constituents if the New Democratic Party, the NDP, forms the next government. Speaking at a public meeting in Marla Village on Monday night, Bramble outlined plans for the construction of medium to high-rise apartments complex aimed at addressing housing shortages faced by residents in the constituency.
I showed you where they have failed miserably with regards to housing in East Kingstown and in Marla Village. And I am saying to you, the New Democratic Party, with yours truly as your representative, will make sure that we provide proper housing for you. I made a point down in Roseau some time ago, and I will reiterate the point here tonight. Look, we don't have enough land space for everybody to build an individual house. We just don't have the land space. But technology allows us to provide you proper housing in the form of medium to high-rise apartment complexes.
The MP emphasized that the proposed housing projects would be strategically located and designed to ensure safety, accessibility, and long-term sustainability.
When I made the point in Roseau, a fellow from the ULP, a good friend of mine, he called me and he started to carry on. He said he made the point that I am always coming with these pie-in-the-sky dreams. But the very fact that he called me and expressed the fact that he listened to what I said told me that it is something that they know is possible, and they don't want to look shame when we come into office and make it work. Look, if you build a 3-story, I won't even go 4, a 3-story apartment complex with 10 apartments on each floor, that's 30 houses right there. 30 families right there. Simple, in a very small space. We ain't going out, we going up. It happens everywhere. And I am telling you, Marla Village, you could put your pot on the fire. Marla Village, the people of Marla Village will enjoy proper housing when the New Democratic Party forms.
In addition to housing, Bramble highlighted plans to revitalize the Sandhill Beach area, transforming it into a vibrant community and a tourism hub.
We also will develop the Sandhill Beach. I told you about that already. We have very big plans for developing the Sandhill Beach into one of the top tourist attractions in this country. And all of the surrounding communities will benefit. Mala Village, Roseau, Walvaroo, Bay Hill will all benefit. People will get jobs, people will make money, you will have money in your pocket, and you won't have to go and beg anybody.
Bramble's proposals forms part of the broader NDP platform focused on infrastructure, housing and economic revitalization as the country prepares for the next general election. In other news now, the annual Public Service Week public speaking competition was held yesterday as part of the week-long celebration of Public Service Week. This year's activities are being observed under the theme Disaster Ready, Together, a Public Service Commitment to Resilience. The competition featured 5 contestants, each representing a different ministry or department within the public service. Delivering opening remarks, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Service, Catherine De Freitas, said the event provides a valuable platform for public sector workers to express their views while proudly representing their respective departments.
This event is more than just a contest. It's a platform, a stage on which emerging voices can express ideas, articulate perspectives, and spark meaningful dialogue around our theme, Disaster Ready, a Public Service Commitment to Resilience. However, this afternoon, the main topic of debate would be disaster risk mitigation is extremely challenging and perhaps an impossible notion for small island states.
De Freitas also emphasized that building national resilience and preparing for disasters is a shared responsibility that requires active participation from every individual.
This theme reminds us that resilience and risk mitigation is a shared responsibility. Whether in emergency response, policy implementations, logistics, education, or community engagement, every ministry, every individual has a role to play. And our participants today reflect that collective strength drawn from across the service. We applaud their courage and preparation, and we are reminded that the future of the public service lies not only in experience, but in expression, in those who can inspire, advocate, and lead with clarity and purpose.
The results of the 2025 Public Service Week public speaking competition are as follows. First place, Kenya Providence, representing the Ministry of Finance. Second place, Ashisia Sam, Ministry of Tourism and Culture. And third place, Chanel Hanoi, Ministry of Legal Affairs. The competition continues to be a highlight of a Public Service Week, celebrating the voices and talents of those who serve in the nation's public sector. Public Service Day will be observed on Monday, June 23rd, with a march and exhibition in capital Kingstown. The Center for Enterprise Development, the CED, will host a men's empowerment business symposium tomorrow entitled Power in Connection, Collaborating and Networking for Men's Business Growth. The event is scheduled to take place at the Kingstown Baptist Church from 9 a.m. The symposium is expected to bring together the participants in the Technical Assistance for Men's Employment and Entrepreneurs, an entrepreneurship-themed project with innovators, entrepreneurs, financial institutions, and business agencies to discuss the challenges and solutions that are affecting the micro, small, and medium enterprises sector in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The opening ceremony will be addressed by Minister of Finance, Economic Development, and Information Technology, Camilla Gonsalves, Minister of Housing, Youth and Sports, Orlando Brewster, and CED General Manager, Ronette Lewis. Lecturer, author, and business consultant Dr. Julian Ferdinand will deliver the feature address on the theme for the Business Symposium. Following the opening ceremony, a panel discussion will be held on the topic Strategic Investment for Innovation, Sustainable Business Growth. The panelists are Stuart Hayes, Executive Director of the National Insurance Services, the NIS, Anthony Regisford, Executive Director of the SVG Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Paul Morris, Managing Director of MAVCOM, Alexis John, Managing Director of Fanfare SVG, Glendris Holder, owner of LEB, of Label's Foot and Nail Clinic, and youth entrepreneur Dominic Frederick, owner of Seafood Sensations and Superior Farms SVG.